Living and Loving Life's podcast is to help people find their balance spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and socially. Listeners will have a positive mindset, renewed outlook for themselves, their future, and believe they are beautifully made inside and out. Listeners will shine and be an example to others as they live fully, completely with no barriers, no burdens, and no regrets.
Okay, welcome back, my listeners. Welcome back to Living and Loving Life podcast, Motivational Mondays. And I have an amazing guest today. We have Samantha. She's going to introduce herself and then we'll go from there. Hi, Samantha. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Erica. Thank you so much, so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your story, your background, and what you're doing currently.
Yes, I am a self-love and sexual empowerment coach. I essentially help women learn how to self-pleasure in really healing, sacred, and connective ways that we have not been taught. And this is a beautiful way to build intimacy, trust, and safety with oneself, to cultivate greater self-love and confidence and self-worth. And I got here because of my own personal journey with healing my relationship to my body. So growing up, I experienced childhood trauma, sexual and physical abuse, and I grew up without a father. Mm-hmm. And so most of my life, I would recreate similar experiences that were not beneficial to my body, to my healing, to my growth. And I was really disconnected and dissociated from my body, from my pleasure, from my voice as well. I was living very superficially because going to these deeper spaces within myself seemed really scary. I didn't cognitively think that at the time, but I didn't have the support I needed to process the things that had happened to me in the past. And so I was just very cut off from myself, very what I call hypermasculine, hypervigilant nervous system, dealing with anxiety, having trouble relaxing and surrendering and trusting myself and other people. And so I moved to Hawaii for college, and that's when I started to slow down and to realize what some of the things that had been blocking me from loving myself, from opening up to feeling more at peace within myself. And then I started noticing women and people around me who were really confident in their body, who had this beautiful radiance and spark. And I could tell that they were connected to their sexuality. And I realized that there was something more that I wanted to access. And so I learned to heal my sexuality because I realized I was so cut off. I could barely orgasm or experience pleasure. And I just had a hard time relating with other people. I had to be under the influence of something. It was hard for me to be sober and to connect and to open up and to be vulnerable and intimate with myself and other people. So piece by piece, the breadcrumbs, led me to where I am today, finding the teachers that I needed to find. And doing this work has led me to help other women do the same, because I feel like it's a missing piece for so many of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was it that was your aha moment or made you want to look in deeper first noticing that there was something missing? And then at what point did you decide okay, I need to do something because I don't want that piece to be missing?
Yes, there's a few, and realizing that I was having also rocky relationships was one of them. Having a hard time sustaining and maintaining healthy relationships and connections with people, feeling really low self-worth and having a lot of insecurities and self-doubts is another one. And being an orgasmic and knowing that there was more to this, that I could see women who were really connected to their bodies, to their sexuality, to their femininity, to their power and their essence. And I knew that there was a disconnect there.
Mm-hmm. So that was, you gained awareness. And how did you do that?
Well, first it was yoga and meditation and mindfulness.
Best thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meditation, hands down, I have to say, is like the best thing ever to be invented. Like,
right.
And if you don't know, you just don't know. But it's such an amazing experience that all of my clients, I'm like, okay, start with just the guided. That's where I started.
Right.
Because you have to, get up to the point where you don't need someone to help you get to that meditation state. But just starting there changed my whole world immediately without me even really realizing or even doing anything different. It was just the fact of freeing up that space. And in my mind, I could see things more clear. Right. So I love that. Okay. So yoga, meditation, and then what else helped you with your awareness? Well,
I want to say too, that's so countercultural, or what we've been taught, because we are such production oriented, where our value is based on the things that we do and the work that we do and what we create. And so we don't make as much time. We're not encouraged to make that time to be with ourselves and to be with the things that cause us a lot of pain and suffering in our lives.
Right.
There's a lot of coping mechanisms, a lot of distractions. So meditation is a great gateway to these other realms.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
And I'm glad that you said that, because I don't think that people realize that when, like you mentioned in your story, in your journey, which I loved, is that you had to be under the influence to actually emotionally connect with people. That was your comfort place to connect, which is not normal. You should be able to connect on a sober mind because you feel comfortable in doing that. So I love that. And I think you speak for a lot of people that don't realize what is happening. Just do it as like a norm. Oh, let's just say sex is better when you're drunk, but not realizing what that actually entails, why it's better, why you're not getting that same satisfying sex with or without the alcohol, or the drugs, because you're not having to hide who you really are. You're showing up as yourself and you're loving that person. And people are very critical about themselves, or I don't like my body, or they're going to think this, or they're going to think that. All these things that probably the person is not thinking. That's just their own insecurities and our own life experiences that kind of shaped us or mold us into that, So I love that. And I love that you are being vulnerable and letting us in so that this could help someone, because that's awesome.
Right. Unless you grow up in a really unique environment, our world, we're inundated with media and so now social media, and just, we're always constantly shown all the ways that we're not good enough and that we need to improve ourselves. So a lot of us carry these really deep wounds and insecurities and narratives, stories that say, that we aren't good enough, and that we need things outside of ourselves for validation or to fix us. And it's, it is, just empty. It's like in Buddhism, they call it the hungry ghost. It's like you can feed this and keep feeding it, but it's empty. And so we're filling ourselves up with all these things, shopping, social media,
things.
Right. Netflix, alcohol, food,
money,
any vice. And with really everything is just like, come back home, like sit with yourself, be with yourself.
Yeah. The true thing is anytime I talk to people about this, the first thing they'll say is, well, you have to make money to survive. Yes. I'm not stating that money is not something we need, but that's a given. That. That's not the root. The root is your happiness, who you truly are. And in that light, then you can apply yourself into positions or jobs or careers that you chose for yourself, because now you understand who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what your interests are. And then you love that. And then that bleeds into the other aspects of your life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So you know what I'm saying? So that missing token of people just knowing who they are, loving who they are, not who society or their family or generations prior has told them who they need to be, but who they truly are. That's where you find your happiness.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think the fact of is people have all of these masks on, so they don't know what happy looks like for them. They just know what someone else has told them happiness looks like, but that's not, like you said, they don't get that emptiness feel full. That void, it doesn't get fulfilled because you're not actually finding out what truly is your passion or your calling, is what I call it.
Right. And, you know, going back to the root, like the childhood traumas and abuse or things, even, you know, it's a scale, like it can be really acute or it can be really little minor fractures, but these things, they add up. And so we're so numb and disconnected from our bodies because we were taught from a young age that they're not safe. And so many of us are living on autopilot, just going along with the narrative without questioning it and without really asking themselves, who am I? Like, what is really important to me? And then having that balance, that awareness, because yes, you need money, but also like, what is your definition of success? Usually redefining a lot of these things. Like if you have success, but you're not kind, you're not connected to your heart. Like what's the point in how? Yeah.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. So really quick, Samantha, off subject. I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming because I love all the different perspectives and different views of helping people find their way of being the best version of themselves. However that looks, everybody's different. And I don't want my show for my listeners to think one way highway. No, you come here and we'll have different type of people on, different topics, different everything. So you can pick and choose what works for you, not what us, me, society, or anyone else tells you what looks like, what happiness or peace looks like for you. So I really, really, truly appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about your teachings and stuff that you teach to your clients. Why do you teach self-pleasure as the main component of your practice?
Right. For many reasons, but because, like I've mentioned a few times, we are so disconnected from our bodies and from our sexualities. And there is so much trauma that we've experienced and so much shame that we carry, so many insecurities about our body. And this is a beautiful practice to bridge those things and to bring healing and integration. Because when we are activating and working with the body and the sexual energy, our life force, the sacred energy that gives life to us and all creation, when we're able to connect with that and be really deeply intimate and vulnerable with ourselves, the body is the storehouse to the unconscious. It holds all the memories and stories and all the belief systems, everything that's happened to us from our past, and it's living within us. And we're so disconnected from our bodies. Our culture really prizes us for being in our mind and in our heads. And so it's like this long journey home of coming home to ourselves, coming back home to our bodies, and using self-pleasure. You're really activating the body with breath work as well. Breath work is another powerful tool. They both help to quiet the cortical brain, activate the deep subconscious mind. So you're able to access the memories, the traumas, the limiting or disempowering belief systems, and create new relationship to them by bringing them up into your awareness, holding them with lots of unconditional love and compassion. Compassion is everything. And you're able to connect to your body too by literally connecting with it and looking at it and telling it how beautiful it is, how worthy it is, how precious it is, while self-pleasuring. And using affirmation with self-pleasuring is really powerful. I use theta wavelength in sounds and songs in my audio practices, because it helps the theta wavelength that's in your brain is activated from the time you are 1 to 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And that's when you are in kind of a very hypnotic state, and you're like a computer, you're a blank slate learning all of these different programs, but there's no one there. Your cortical brain hasn't fully developed to let you know that, this programming is, not healthy. This programming is empowering. So you're just absorbing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so when you're self-pleasuring and you have the theta wavelengths, then it's benefiting you to help you reprogram those limiting belief systems and memories.
So that's why it's one of your main components, because it's like very important for the healing process.
I feel like it's an accelerator.
Okay.
To like, you're going to the body, to where everything is being held and stored.
Okay. So, how has this type of work impacted clients that you've had?
Right. So in my programs that I offer, we do this portion of like self-pleasure and embodiment practices. But in my one-on-one sessions, we go really deep into the body, mind, consciousness, into work on healing your inner masculine, inner feminine, inner child. And so these are some of the most powerful aspects of my practice that my clients really love and are surprised by. And so I have one client who is a mother of 3, and she realized in some of our sessions how much weight she was carrying around her body and the traumas in her body from childbirth and from being a mom. And so she was able to recognize that and create a more harmonious, more loving connection to those parts of her, and also to her breasts, because they had been breastfeeding for so long that she was like, these aren't just for other, like my babies now, like these are, I'm reclaiming my pleasure with my body, with my breasts. And also her first child, there was complications with the pregnancy. And so he has mental health issues. And she had a lot of shame around that and was carrying a lot of weight, like it was her fault. And she was able to process a lot of that and to let it go. And she just feels so much lighter, because that was like really, really harming her, carrying that around.
Absolutely. Especially speaking from a mom, anything that happens to your babies at all, it's you.
Right.
I did something, even though it had more or less nothing to do with you, just it's mom. Nope, me, I could have done, and that's awesome. I'm glad that she got freed of that, because people don't realize until they gain that awareness how heavy things are, how big these burdens are, and why people are stuck in these type of cycles, because they don't even realize what's causing the cycle.
Right.
So that's pretty much what I do in my practice as well. It's called the onion pillar, and we just simply have to peel back those layers of things that, like you said, programs, life experiences that have just been put on top of experience after experience, and not actually dealing with the experience the proper way, allowing yourself to actually feel those emotions, not hide them, and accept it and let it go. So awesome. I love it. This is my thing, clearly a different way of doing it, but the same type of thing. This is my stuff. Okay. So what other type of works do you offer in your coaching practice?
So I offer a program called Sensual Metamorphosis, which is a 3-month deep dive. It's a combination of one-on-one with me and also in a group setting. We do heart sharings, and it's a way for women to be really vulnerable with one another and to be witnessed in your vulnerability as well, and to see that these themes and cycles are really common and that you're not alone. I offer a Jade Egg course, and Jade Egg is a powerful Taoist tool, and it's really gentle, really loving, but really powerful. And it's a way to do pelvic strengthening exercises to increase libido, sensitivity, again, to heal pelvic floor dysfunction, things of that nature, creating this nice balance between a really strong pelvic floor, but also a really soft and receptive pelvic floor as well.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Go ahead.
It's just like incontinence is, a huge thing for many women. And so it just helps women feel more secure and connected to their bodies.
Right. Okay. So one common thing that you've seen for most of your clients, when they come to you, what is most common type of situation that people are coming to you for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the main one would be learning how to self-soothe and self-regulate, and how to feel and process your emotions in a healthy manner rather than reaching to coping mechanisms or people outside of yourself for validation, and to learn how to, sit with and process and move through these heavier emotions. Yeah. So that has been like feeling free within themselves and safe within themselves to hold these parts of them.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. So what would you have to say would be one of your hardest lessons that you've learned during your journey, and do you apply it to your day-to-day life?
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that. Where to begin? We live in an instant gratification culture, and it's really easy to get impatient or to be like, why hasn't this thing fully processed or integrated, and why am I still facing this thing in a different light? And so it's really gives you a lot of humility and a lot of understanding, not just for yourself, but for human nature in general. And really just learning to witness what's coming up with unconditional love and compassion, and to recognize that also to recognize that you're doing wonderful, to really acknowledge yourself for how far that you've come already, because it's so easy to also fixate on what's not working.
Right.
And so to acknowledge how far that you've come, and the good that you're doing in your life, and the positive ways in which you have really improved and transformed, because focusing on that is more empowering than continuously focusing on what's not working.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. Yeah. So in your opinion, what does it mean to you to live and love life?
What does it mean to me to live and love life? Yeah. I just want to sit with that just for a moment, because it's such a powerful question. I think for me, what it means is to really love and accept myself, and from that place to feel free within my expression, with allowing myself to be ever changing, ever evolving, and to be able to connect with other people and enjoy life, to come back to celebration, and to be in harmony with all of life, all of creation. Yeah.
I love that. Awesome. Okay. So Samantha, let the listeners know where they can find you, and if you have anything new coming up, any new products or new seminars or anything like that they can be looking out for.
Yes. Wonderful. I have a next round of my program, Sensual Metamorphosis, that will be launching end of November, early December. And I have about 6 spots available for that. And I'm located on Instagram at Behold the Beloved, as well as Facebook. My name's Samantha Helm-Stelk. And I have a bunch of free guided audio practices: breast massage, Ho'oponopono forgiveness meditation, healing and transforming disempowering religious, sexual conditioning. So I have a bunch of free offerings that you can find in my Instagram bio.
Okay, so for the listeners that were there, she dropped a lot of good gems. We talked about some good little tools you can be using to be the best version of yourselves. I will have her information added to the show notes at the bottom. And thank you guys again for tuning into Motivational Mondays. And thank you, Samantha, so much for coming and joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Bye. See you guys next week.
If you love the Living and Loving Life podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.